Hello there, whippersnappers, and welcome back. I'm sorry to say that today we've reached the end of the line, but as long as you are a fine law-abiding citizen, you don't need to be too concerned. On with today's tour. So as I said last episode, we are trying to bring back something of a justice system to the Commonwealth. Now, Abe wanted to build something in memory of Nora, despite what she may or may not have done in the past. And he's also just a bit horrified about the way everyone tries to kill and rob and generally mistreat each other. So, yeah, this is what we're trying out. I can already see our receptionist Sheila is out here having a gossip, so we'll have to look at her office without her. This is where Sheila would ordinarily be working, just making sure people get checked in, all the paperwork and that stuff. Somewhere here to check your appearance before your big court appearance, and then a little weapons check, and into the courthouse. Now here is someone who would never abandon his post. This is our Judge Hank, and he's very dedicated. So Abe and Hank actually met in an old bookshop, and after an initial standoff, they decided they weren't going to harm one another, got to talking, and it turns out that Hank actually has dedicated his life to scavenging literature about the law of the past. That's his big interest and big passion. So they've come up with this together. Over here, he's not in trouble just yet. He is on thin ice at times. MacReady's just modelling the docks. Somewhere here for a Minuteman Council to sit, just help Hank come to a judgment. And then we got the usual prosecution and defence areas over here, as well as all these old historical artefacts, just for decoration. Make it all a bit grander. Let's go and take a look up here with Hank. He's obviously got his gavel and his pile of ceremonial books. Now this is interesting, actually. So he read in one of his old books that you throw the book at somebody when they're in trouble with the law, and he seems to have taken that literally. So anybody that's found guilty, on their way out, they do get a ceremonial book thrown at their head. So Abe, of course, knows this is not the done thing, but he finds it quite amusing, so he just lets that happen.
Farming's as honest
Here
as
we
honest
have our
work
head of
gets.
security, Reba. She's a bit stern. We don't know too much about her personal story. And then a little holding area here for anyone that's particularly vicious or rowdy. Need to be kept under control. So coming down here, all you need to do to find part 2 of the justice system is follow the train tracks. We'll have a look at that next episode though. And then this is our trainee guard. This fellow is Andy. Now Andy is actually blind. So Reba's testing him out and making sure he's up to the task. He's amazing though. He seems to have the senses of a bat. His aim is immaculate. He's brilliant with his gun. Reba does insist on testing him though, so she'll come sneaking out here, trying to be very stealthy and get by Andy. But he knows every single time, as I said, he is brilliant. So hopefully not a trainee too much longer. And then coming around here, we actually have something of a success story, as well as Sheila and her letter opener. I don't know what she's up to today. So in here we have a mother and daughter. This is Heather, and she was trapped.
The farm's not much, but it's something.
She was trapped with a absolutely horrible, nasty piece of work. Yeah, really, really nasty man. So Abe and the Minutemen caught wind of this. He apprehended the criminal scum and put him through the courts, and he's actually now in prison. So I'm sure we'll visit him next time.
If you work, you eat. It's as simple as
Yeah,
that.
these guys decided this was a nice, safe place to settle down. They wanted
Yeah.
to give something back. As you can see, they're still a bit nervous, a bit flighty. They haven't really unpacked or made this place their own just yet because they fear they might have to just leave at a moment's notice. So we hope one day they'll begin to feel a bit safer. So prowling around out here is Anna. This is Heather's daughter. And she's had a really tough time of it with the men, the associates of the nasty old man. She's clearly a very beautiful young lady, but she dresses this way, so nobody really can tell that. Although she and Andy do seem to be forming something of a bond. He's obviously not just going after her because of the way she looks, so fingers crossed something might blossom there.
Huh?
So as you can see, they have these nice crops, so they're good at making lunches when the court has a break. General bit of caretaker role, I suppose, just looking after the place.
Don't much care for good neighbor. That place is nothing but trouble.
And of course their doggy Banjo. Alright, so heading up in here, this is just the original station building. It's not so exciting. Something to pass the time. Little spare bed in case perhaps Hank can't make it home of an evening. Though ordinarily everybody here, there are some quite nice houses just beyond the hill. They've fixed those up and that's where they would go home to. They don't live here. So this way in really is for the criminals and the Minutemen. If you were a member of the public come to spectate, or maybe a relative of the accused, you head up this way into the public gallery. So you can take your seat up here. You must sit very quietly and just observe, although the best view is of the chandelier. So anyone up here watching does actually get to take a vote on whether they think somebody's guilty or not. They can use these little booths, and Hank can just take that into consideration. We do try and make sure things are as fair as possible. Yeah, you really can't see too much from up here, but it's a little courthouse. And then up this way, we've just got somewhere for anyone who can't quite make it home. It might get a bit dangerous in the night time, so they can just stay up there if they need to. Nothing too fancy. Yeah, close the door behind us this time. So yeah, this is all just getting started, getting tested out as a system. It is a bit difficult trying to arrest people at the moment because everyone's still in the habit of just murdering each other on sight, but we're trying our best. You never know, it might catch on. Right, so I think we'll just go and have a little nap, let it get dark, and see what it looks like here later. Who have we got? Heather? Hello? Yeah, it's rather dark out here. There wouldn't ordinarily be a lot happening in the night time. Unless the court overran or anything like that, but most of the time everybody would have gone home. We'll take a look around anyway, though. Ooh. Sheila finally decided to go to work. Bit of late night paperwork.
You know what I call a good day? One that ends without an empty stomach.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's quite nicely lit in here. That chandelier does do a good job. Hank is still diligently waiting. Ooh, Macready, you've been very patient. Sorry about that.
You got a dangerous look about you. Hope you ain't here for me.
You're skulking around in the dark. So yeah, that's a good look round our little courthouse. Alright, back for today's dose of real talk. So, as I said, this was a slightly smaller build this time. Something of an experimentation zone, just learning a few things. Yeah, this was a bit of an earlier one as well. Chandelier's fairly interesting in here. So I know there's a schooled zone video as well about how to make a chandelier. I didn't watch that one because I wanted to come up with it, figure it out myself. So I don't know if this is similar or not, but that's what I came up with. If we just have a little look in workshop mode. So we got the fancy lights and the pipe conduits, and we use the no windows up here. We use the non-scrappable wall to just pick up the lights and place them onto the conduit rings. Very fiddly. I dread to think how many hours went into this. I hope it was worth it. I think it was worth it. Yeah, and then the whole thing just eventually got lifted up with a pillar. Quick saving first, took a few tries to get it into position. Yeah, and then the safety signs here just back to back. They're handy for making signage like that. And then the gallery seating, that was quite fun to figure out as well, just outhouse seats, benches and rugs. Yeah, all of that was just built up using pillars and rugs again, trying to get it nice and even, gallery style. And the architecture here was fairly simple, most of it just snapped together fairly nicely. I think we're about half a square out, which wasn't great on the barn pieces, so there's just a few bits that had to be mushed in with a pillar, as well as these bits of roof that didn't really want to sit up here either. And then, yeah, all the pillars and railings and all that sort of stuff, just also pillar placed. Yeah. I think that's probably the extent of it, really. Of course, the neon up there isn't lit. I wanted it to be, I don't know, a bit less snazzy, a bit more imposing. And then left the original settlement area, like, fairly much as it was. So yeah, that's about it for today. If you are still here, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, then do consider maybe a like and subscribe. Otherwise, until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and it's goodbye from me for today. Bye bye!